Have you heard? Vay is coming to Steam! That's right, the classic Sega CD role-playing game will be given a second life on PC thanks to the same publisher that brought Lunar Silver Star Story to iOS and Android. Both of these games originally came to America by way of Working Designs, the legendary company that specialized in localizing Japanese role-playing and strategy games on everything from the TurboGrafx-16 to the Saturn to the PlayStation 2. All this news about Vay and Lunar got me wondering what Electronic Gaming Monthly thought of Working Designs. Did they have a favorite game? As it turns out, EGM reviewed a total of 27 games published by Working Designs between 1989 and 2008. That not only includes almost all of their best-known role-playing games, but also arcade ports, space shoot-em-ups, classic game compilations, and even side-scrolling platformers. Sure, EGM skipped out on Cadash and a few of the other smaller titles, but I guarantee that you're not going to be disappointed by the list we have for you. What we're going to do today is count down the best and worst Working Designs game using Electronic Gaming Monthly's own words and scores. There's no editorializing here, we're just going to focus on what the critics said back when these games first came out. Look, I hope you're ready for some dated political jokes from the 1990s, because this is what happens when EGM ranks Working Designs.
叩いて叩いて叩いて叩いて強くなる。今度は連打システムがすごい。ハマるドープで第2弾シャイニングウィズダム新登場。
We're gonna kick things off with number 27, Vay on Sega CD. From Working Designs comes another RPG that should keep fans of the genre more than happy. This one contains huge areas to explore, plenty of comrades to help, and excellent cinemas, courtesy of the CD technology. However, the story just isn't that unique to catch one's attention. Gamers who aren't necessarily RPG nuts may not be drawn to this title, but it's nice to see more games like this for the system. It has excellent music. Number 26, Arc the Lad Collection on PlayStation. This is the series that fanboys everywhere have been screaming to get in the US ever since the first game was released in Japan back in 1995. Was it worth the wait? Well, unless you're a hardcore collector, no. These games just haven't aged as well as the Final Fantasy or Lunar series. Here's a quick rundown. Arc 1 chronicles the journey of the title character, and it's about 10 hours long. The whole thing is pretty uninspired, with boring characters, Super Nintendo quality graphics, and a just barely interesting strategy-based battle engine. Arc 2 is an improvement, with prettier graphics, longer playtime, and a much better story. Finally, Arc 3 brings the series into the realm of 3D, but it still fails to be interesting or exciting, since it's basically just the same game for the third time. Number 25, Shining Wisdom on Saturn. I haven't seen anything new in a while in the RPG world, and Shining Wisdom keeps up the status quo. Besides having a nice color palette, this game looks like it belongs on a 16-bit system. Some of the conversations in the game are pretty wordy and useless. At points, I stopped talking to people just to avoid scrolling through the text. I also prefer turn-based combat versus the Zelda style of live combat, but that's just a personal preference. The quest is linear, you access every place in a certain order. Plenty of secrets are hidden about the large maps, but besides that, there's not much to excite an RPG enthusiast. Number 24, Vanguard Bandits on the PlayStation. I'm normally a fan of the game's Working Designs chooses to localize, but for the life of me I can't understand why they chose Vanguard Bandits. Its gameplay is bested by virtually any PlayStation strategy RPG, including Vandal Hearts or its sequel, Final Fantasy Tactics, Cardia, you name it. Unlike those games, most battles here quickly degenerate into groups of characters hacking and slashing at close range every turn. The translation itself is great, an excellent job once again by Working Designs. But that isn't going to make what is, at its heart, an average game great. There are plenty of good PlayStation RPGs out there. Skip this one and go straight to Lunar 2. Number 23, Parasol stars the story of Bubble Bobble 3 on the TurboGrafx-16. With Parasol stars, you get a game that displays some ties to Bubble Bobble and other Taito games, gives you plenty of levels to conquer, and then throws it all together in a package that does very little to create any real excitement. Parasol stars is too repetitive and just isn't much fun. Number 22, Sega Ages on the Saturn. Come on, I know there are more than 3 old Sega games. I mean, the 3 that are included are cool and all, but that's all? I never really liked Space Harrier that much anyway. Working Designs did a kick-ass job with what is on the disc though. Some background info, a la Namco Classics, would have been nice. Number 21, Silpheed, The Lost Planet on PlayStation 2. Being a big fan of the Sega CD version of Silpheed and of Treasure in general, I was really looking forward to this PlayStation 2 shooter. Unfortunately, the game does little to advance the series other than adding some gorgeous graphics to what was already a pretty stale game engine. Although there are a lot of weapons to earn as you play, there's just no depth. Not a power-up to be found, and the PS2 version of Silpheed doesn't even bother with the special weapon system from the Sega CD game. Basically, you fly and you shoot. That's fun for a while, but Silpheed just doesn't have anything to make it worth more than a rental fee. Number 20, Gungriffon Blaze on the PlayStation 2. Ooh, if only Game Arts had included a decent radar, this would have scored a few points higher. Gungriffon controls well and offers up some great battle action, but always searching frantically for your next objection or enemy based solely on a tiny map that you see at the beginning of each level destroys most of that enjoyment. Besides which, each level has a time limit. Combine that with the lack of a good radar and some missions that are downright annoying. As it is, this is a nice looking game that doesn't quite recreate the experience of playing its Saturn brethren. It just needed a few tweaks and some better music. I guess there's always hope for a sequel. Number 19, Cosmic Fantasy 2 on the TurboGrafx-16. Cosmic Fantasy could use a refresher course on how to make a gamer's life easier. Awkward controls and average graphics are just not going to cut it in the skeptical world of video games. A few years ago, it would have been a great title with tons of secrets and challenges. Now it needs spunk and attitude. Number 18, RayCrisis Series Termination on PlayStation. It's been a while since the PlayStation had an honest, straightforward shooter, and on that level, RayCrisis delivers. There's a good number of higher difficulties, and the boss battles are intense without being impossible. With strategy and good reflexes, you can master almost all of them. The graphics are nice, smooth in most places, and only slow down when things get so intense that you actually welcome it. The 3 ships also have some distinct playstyles that add some nice variety. Although I would have liked to see more levels, and the gameplay doesn't have the technique or polish of an R-Type Delta or Einhander, this should keep shooter fans happy for a bit, at least until Silpheed. Number 17, Magic Knight Rayearth on the Saturn. I'm certainly gonna miss the little Saturn, particularly because of all of the great Capcom fighter conversions. But at least Magic Knight Rayearth is a great way for the 2D system that could to go out. It's got some of the most beautiful 2D graphics I've ever seen, and the game itself is pretty darn good too, if not a bit on the easy side. It only took me 2 days to beat, but I really enjoyed the time spent. Weak voices though. Number 16, Exile on the TurboGrafx-16. While this style of gaming has never been my cup of tea, it's not hard to recognize the scope of this game and appreciate it on that level. In addition, the supporting features served up courtesy of the CD are first class, although I have heard better music on CD games. Not my favorite, but still a good game for the Turbo. Number 15, Exile, Wicked Phenomenon on the TurboGrafx 16. I loathe to say it, but Exile, Wicked Phenomenon is yet another good RPG on the Duo system. Why aren't there more games like this available on other systems? The music is good, and the quest is an excellent addition to any RPG gamer's collection. The quest is long, but it seems kinda simplistic.
Ken を抜いて冒険の世界へファンタジック RPG ルナシルバースターストーリールナ
And we're back with number 14, Growlanser Generations on the PlayStation 2. Though the two games look even older than they are, and they're very nearly relics from a previous generation, there's something to be said for Growlanser. Most of which relates directly to appealing battles and features interesting strategic scenarios and action that are clearly visible and exciting, though sorely lacking in flair. The key is that everyone on the field moves at once, establishing a perceptible flow and bucking genre tradition by not exhibiting stubby-limbed battle children in place and patiently waiting their turn to clock each other. Number 13, Thunder Force 5 Perfect System on the PlayStation. Yes, Thunder Force 5 is an extremely difficult game, but it's hard in a seemingly friendly way. You'll gradually earn more continues as you play and replay the game, and you can choose the order in which you play the first 3 levels, so you can clear some of the trickier stages first, or die trying, then reset so you don't waste a continue. It all makes for an intense shooter that gets frustrating, but keeps you coming back for more. Number 12, Lunar, the Silver Star on Sega CD. I just love the title song! RPG fans will definitely want to check out this adventure game that has some absolutely beautiful music, courtesy of the CD, something that's absent in some RPGs. The fighting sequences are a bit dull, though. Number 11, Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete on the PlayStation. Saying the Lunar franchise is showing its age is like calling Bob Hope old. It's a vast understatement. The game does so many things right that it's still one of the better RPGs out there. Take the battle system, a seemingly simple turn-based setup that belies remarkable strategic depth. And then there's the story, a well-balanced mix of adventure, romance, and friendship with a few weighty themes thrown in, all beautifully enhanced by Working Designs localization. Still, I had more fun playing the first PlayStation Lunar remake, as I found this one to be a bit buggy at times. Don't get me wrong, Lunar 2 remains a timeless game, despite its dated look. Number 10, Lunar Eternal Blue on the Sega CD. This may not be Final Fantasy III, but it's still a good game in its own right. One of its strongest points is the cinemas. The overall graphics are decent, and the sounds are good. It has a very simplified control, using one button for pretty much everything. I kinda like the simplicity, and don't think it's subtracted from the gameplay. The storyline is the usual type, and the quests are typical RPG style that anyone will like. It may not be the best, but it's a good choice for the Sega CD. Number 9, Popful Mail Magical Fantasy Adventure on the Sega CD. A long and involving RPG with a humorous story. Now that's original. Popful Mail plays like an action game, but also has bits and pieces of adventure and RPG game all rolled into one sweet CD. The characters are all interesting in their own way, and the voices, although very Americanized, aren't too shabby. These types of games are all too rare. Pick this one up before they're gone. Number 8, Iron Storm on the Saturn. Military simulators have been overdone so much recently that I was expecting to be disappointed with Iron Storm even before I got into the action. Once the game was powered up, I found myself in control of the German forces invading France at the beginning of World War II and loving it. The unit diversity and the ability for the units to advance through gathering combat experience by winning battles adds much to the combat sim. Also, the ability to watch the outcome of the battle in a cinematic display is a feature that is so shocking that it has what it takes to grab the attention of players who can't stand military sims. Ironstorm has features that many World War II sims can only dream about. Give it a try. Number 7. Elemental Gearbolt on the PlayStation. Although it's not a particularly long game, Elemental Gearbolt is still a beautiful, even an elegant, light gun shooter that oozes atmosphere. It's also a bit revolutionary in that it forces you to take slow, careful shots, as rapid-fire jamming on the trigger will get you nowhere. The graphics are stunning, despite some slowdown in 2-player mode, while the excellent cinemas and moody music top off this slick package. Number 6. Silhouette Mirage on the PlayStation. I'm all for surreal games, so Silhouette Mirage gets my vote in that department, but all that weirdness aside, the game is extremely original and provides tons of depth. And when you couple that with the treasure name, you get something that's truly special and fun. Now, I have to take issue with the sound effects and the voices. My god, that stuff truly tests the limits of my sanity. If you're into anime or the Japanese scene though, you may be able to stomach the voices. Number 5. Albert Odyssey, Legend of Eldean on the Saturn. I hate having to review games like this. They suck you in, they keep you around, and before you know it, a few weeks of your life have passed. Albert Odyssey is not only beautiful, both musically and graphically, it also has one of the best and most involving storylines seen in an RPG. The witty dialogue is icing on the cake. The only bad point, the combat is a drag. Number 4. RayStorm on the PlayStation. I must have yelled, "Oh wow!" at least 900 times when I first booted up RayStorm. The polygonal enemies and the terrain look phenomenal, making it the most eye-catching PlayStation title yet. And although RayStorm throws hundreds of enemies at you, there's rarely a hint of slowdown. Now, just keep the awesome shooters coming, Working Designs. Number 3. Alundra on the PlayStation. Working Designs' first PlayStation RPG brings welcome diversity to the system's role-playing lineup. Alundra is the first action RPG on the PlayStation, and fans of Landstalker and Zelda will love it. It's the puzzles that make this game so rewarding. They're tough, sure, and many of them are downright brilliant in design. Working Designs, as always, did an excellent job translating the dialogue and the story, although their trademark humor is toned down a bit. Number 2. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete on the PlayStation. For me to play an RPG all the way through, the story has to be engaging. Lunar is as engaging as it gets. At no point while playing through Lunar did I feel that anything I had to do was a chore. It was all pure enjoyment. Working Designs has done a great job translating, dubbing, and adding new things to Lunar to make it a better game than any of the previous Japanese versions. The bonus CD and cloth map only make a fantastic game an even better value. And finally, in number 1, Dragon Force on the Saturn. I've played over 300 games this year, and I have to say that Dragon Force is my favorite one yet. I like it better than any Nintendo 64 or PlayStation game so far, and I came very close to giving Dragon Force a 10. The game's interface could have used some work. I'm very behind in my work because I couldn't stop playing this damn game. The depth of Dragon Force is unbelievable, with dozens of unique characters, a rich and involving storyline, and a simple yet fun and thorough combat system. If you don't enjoy strategy games, then by all means skip my review. But if you do like strategy games, then Dragon Force has got to be on the top of your must-buy list.
Sega Sanshiro, Sega Sanshiro, Sega Saturn. みんなで戦い。ゴチャキャラバトルで戦いに勝つシミュレーション RPG ドラゴンフォース2 Sega Saturn.
Hey, thanks for watching me break down these classic reviews. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new episodes just like this almost every week. We have a whole playlist full of EGM Ranks shows, featuring Mario, Sonic, Final Fantasy, Phantasy Star, Batman, Resident Evil, Burnout, Ridge Racer, and literally dozens more. Let me tell you, we're getting dangerously close to hitting 100 of these episodes. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite Working Designs game? I mean, it doesn't have to be one of the games we listed here, but statistically, it probably will be. And it's probably going to be either Lunar or Dragon Force. Let's just be realistic here. In other news, I'm back! Look, I know I've been a little spotty over the last few weeks, but fear not, nothing bad has happened to me. I'm not sick, nothing bad's happened in the family, everything's good. In fact, I got this amazing opportunity that I can't quite talk about yet. But let me tell you, it's eventually going to lead to a new series that people have been wanting for years, and it's going to be huge! Like I said, can't talk about it right now, we'll pick this up in a few weeks. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and you support what we're doing here. Until then,